Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forge Alliance. We've got a classic game between two of the best players to ever play this one. Of course, Sir Louis playing as Aeon was number one on the ladder whenever he played. Perhaps the best player ever in this one. And TheBigOne, of course, was also probably in the top 5 whenever he played. EEF versus Aeon, first land from TheBigOne, 3 P-gens. Of course, on this map, plenty of rocks here that you can supplement your mass extractors with, so you can go heavy power early on. It also is really nice for good first air builds. Looks like Sir Louis is going for second air, and second air back in the day might mean we're going to see a ghetto. Engineers, we'll see some raiders perhaps from these players so far. First Angie, second Angie, and a flare coming out for Sir Louis. Sir Louis getting a mass extractor here. Looks like he's going to get a total of 7 P-gens before he gets his air factory, but you can see his first Angie's got a whole bunch of work to do with those rocks. Flare and Scout going down the left side. First 3 Angies completely engineers from TheBigOne, and actually now finally getting a Scout. Bit of a pause there. Grabbing the rocks. And now Flare going to the other side as well for Sir Louis as well as an engineer. So Sir Louis, as the first 2 engineers are coming out to expand to either side of the map, and he does have 2 teams of flare and a scout. There is an engineer moving to the left for TheBigOne, and a couple scouts, 2 scouts. These will be outgunned by the flare, and an engineer going in blind now, a scout for TheBigOne on the right side. So here comes the flare. The scouts retreat. The Snoop actually has a pretty decent gun in these fights, especially in Forge Alliance Forever. It has double the damage it used to, but it can outrange the flare, so with proper micro it can actually kill it, but that's quite difficult. Now tank moving out to the left side for TheBigOne. He's going to try to secure this position. You can see the effect of the flares from Sir Louis. No expansion of the engineers to the side. There is this NG that is waiting for some orders. Meanwhile, we do see second air from TheBigOne as well. Second air from Sir Louis, but it looks like they're just using these air factories to make engineers so far. And here we see the scout and a flare from Sir Louis, avoiding the tank. Well, almost avoiding the tank. Good defensive tank, and actually a little bit of reclaim there from TheBigOne picks up. The engineer should get credit for one of those kills. The other flare for Sir Louis, no kills, but still sitting in the corner. Looks like undetected. Also some auroras now for Sir Louis, plus a raider coming up on the left side, but he's going to move down together with a scout. Those flares are going to dominate these battles early on, even though only 140 health versus a 300 total health for the striker. The range on this Aurora gun dominates all these battles. So far the ACU is surprisingly still sitting back at base here, minute 4. 2 engineers on a power spam for Sir Louis, going for third land, and here comes a transport. So it looks like a ghetto is going to be assembled for Sir Louis. There's a scout now for TheBigOne, and going Tech 2 land. So we're going to see Tech 2 land versus ghetto, just working with 2 factories so far. TheBigOne keeping his ACU back at base for build capacity. And here's the scout for TheBigOne. Is going to find out that Sir Louis' ACU is going down the right side, plus a point defense, very defensive from Sir Louis, a point defense. And the other side also point defense for Sir Louis, plus a couple auroras. And here comes the ghetto plus some interceptors to take out the scout. No anti-air whatsoever, but we should be seeing some interceptors. Actually, we are now seeing Tech 2 land and a Tech 2 flak, and that's going to devastate the ghetto. NT's a little too quick, but the ghetto is a slow moving unit. This is going to be a massacre of the flares, and see, those flares just ate it. Sir Louis still has 1 dying flare in there, trying to fly away. So Tech 2 land, a nice counter. But so far it looks like on both sides Sir Louis taking map control with those point defenses. They see you down the right side, and so far a superior force. But this Tech 2 land is going to change things with these pillars. And where is that pillar here? Heavy tank, 12,000, 1,200 health. That's 10 times as much as one of these Auroras. Should make its presence felt. And of course with the Tech 2 flak, the air factory for the big one, besides making a scout, it's been completely engineered. He's absolutely not afraid of the air. And this dying transport picked up a couple Auroras that is going to drop off directly in Big One's base. I'm not sure if that's going to be a good move given the presence of Tech 2 land. But so far taking out a couple power generators. The big one also getting an upgrade. And the pillar will take care of this quite easily. Well, I'm a little surprised that the big one isn't making a push here on the left side. There is a point defense here, but a couple of artilleries. And also, yeah, here comes a mongoose. That's going to take care of the point defense quite easily. So we are seeing the strength of that point defense, even though in terms of tank versus tank total domination for the big one, but you do have to respect this. You don't want to lose too many units. Sir Louis now Tech 2 land and his expansion base. Sir Louis really with the map control is going to have a lot of success. But here come the mongoose, and here comes a Tech 1 point defense. Just took out a pillar, and that's really an excuse. No, there it goes. It was focused on. So one Tech 2 flak, Tech 2 tank was taken out, and once the point defense falls, it's really one-way traffic with these pillars against the Auroras. Sir Louis retreating with a Tech 2 engineer, Tech 2 NGs. See a Tech 2 point defense is going to be built in this position. However, the big one now with the Tech 2 engineering on his ACU is moving in. Is going to try to take back this base, supported by a few mongoose. And on top, this Tech 2 force really had no problems pushing Sir Louis back. Sir Louis with a full retreat. He's not going to have this fight. Looks like Sir Louis is going to solve that problem with his ACU, but he is going to get a new problem here. Tech 2 point defenses from Sir Louis, and looks like this Tech 2 point defense is not even going to be finished. And an engineer here, plus pretty good reclaim, and the big one really taking over this game. Sir Louis walking back and forth, changing his mind, walking back. I'm pretty sure he's got a couple gun upgrades, so it'll make it interesting, gun versus Tech 2. And of course with this Tech 2 point defense for the big one, it's a very secure position for him. He can attack and retreat, have quite a bit of safety. Sir Louis now going Tech 3 air, not really waiting around. So one thing to say about this game, quite defensive from both players, very defensive. And it looks like a transport is being used by the big one. He's going to get the gun and Tech 2 engineering. And up on top, actually it looks like numbers for Auroras are working out quite well. 15 kills on the pillar, 8 on the mongoose. Still surviving, but forced to retreat with these superior numbers. An engineer for Sir Louis thought about making a Tech 2 point defense, but he's going to build it a little further. Big one's still working on that gun. And with the Tech 3 air means restorers, and this is why Forged Alliance Forever is so much better than 3599. This wasn't really the super unit that everybody would go to, but gotta see on a small map like this against a player who does have Tech 2 land, those restorers might be very expensive chunks of, and that's pretty ridiculous. A transport doing scouting, and he's going to see the restorer, which means the big one is going to make flak everywhere, and that's going to make that restorer not nearly as effective as it could have been. Big one making more land factories. He does have mongoose, now some mobile missile launchers in his force. And I really think the players like the big one and Sir Louis, if they played right now, they would enjoy this game much more. It wasn't all about this unit being dominant. But of course, Tech 3 air, pretty big investment for Sir Louis. A bit of a gamble perhaps, but a very nice gamble. It's going to get a lot of kills as long as you take care of it. See Tech 2 flak there for the big one around his ACU. He's got to send some Tech 2 flak to the left side, and absolutely no Tech 2 flak. Plus Tech 3 scout that doesn't really get hit very well by Tech 2 flak. So it's got really total recon for the big one. Big one's Tech 2 force pushes Sir Louis back to his base on the right side. Yeah, second restore coming out, third one on its way for Sir Louis. Sir Louis' restore 6 kills completely ran over this left side. But now some Tech 2 flak moving out. As long as you have a mixture of Tech 2 flak and pillars, maybe a couple shields as well, One thing we gotta note, a lot less power for the big one than for Sir Louis, which is not surprising. He is making Tech 3 air. But now restores against Mongoose. There is some Tech 2 flag here, and the restorers will respect it. And a lot of Tech 2 flak all over the place, but it looks like some of this Tech 2 flak running into point defense from the civilians. Civilians getting a few kills. The restorers massacring civilians as well. And the big one taking all of his flak to one side, completely exposing his base. That is a big mistake there from the big one. He needs to pull his units back. He's losing a lot of map control here. The restorer is definitely doing a lot of damage against the map control for the big one. He does have a couple Tech 2 mass extractors here, which would be great targets. 2 Tech 2 mass extractors. Although the big one's right side is very secure, and he should be just moving in. Plenty of flak for him, Tech 2 force, Tech 2 and gun on the engineer, but now this is where those pillars together with the Tech 2 flak are so crucial, because Auroras will kill the flak eventually, and the restorers can move in. The big one with the ACU full health, and he's got to be wary of those restorers here in minute 14. Point defense for the big one, and restorers now moving in. This flak not microed that well from the big one. But this point defense will do good things. Once again, the restorers move in, take out a mass extractor, move back. That was a Tech 1, so not a huge loss. Now Tech 1 point defenses being built by Sir Louis, but under a massive assault. Tech 2 point defenses as well. Overcharge, that was a great overcharge from Sir Louis. And the big one has to be very careful. Sir Louis can overcharge all these Tech 2 flags. The big one will be completely exposed against the restorers, which will kill his ACU very quickly. The big one having to respect, and here we're seeing that. But in this position, this Tech 2 flag doing a good job. This Tech 2 point defense doing a lot of damage. And the big one loses here, minute 15. A bit unfortunate. Really, if he ran too much in those Tech 2 point defenses. I really wish this game went on a little further. But I think it's a testament to how the game used to be played, with the Restorer being such a dominant unit, getting this victory for Sir Louis. This is now completely impossible on Forged Alliance Forever. So hopefully people enjoyed this one.